Yeah, we're tracking some large surf likely, and that's probably the most likely scenario, or the most likely thing that we'll see effects from will be the surf. The wind and rain, there's still a lot of question marks here, but the surf will most likely coming. We got a shot of the moon there, a live shot from outside. Beautiful conditions here at 82 degrees. We have east-northeast winds at 14, but you know what? We have, unfortunately, out in the eastern Pacific, Kiko will take you out to the Hurricane Tracking Center, and that's where we have a very small storm. So this storm is not all that wide, as we've been telling you about, but it is packing quite a punch. So we'll measure it out for you. You can see about 280 miles or so wide. So it's a small storm, but it is producing waves, and we're looking at waves of near 18 feet on average, but up to 33 feet. And those waves will be coming over the next few days, and likely by Sunday into Monday, we'll start to see that swell energy affect east shores. So surf is almost certainly going to happen. We're certainly going to get some sort of advisories here, especially for the Big Island, but most east-facing shores could see these advisories as the storm gets closer. For now, though, surf is small. We do have a coastal flood statement for a high tide at 2:53 tomorrow afternoon at 2.3 feet there. So heads up, those high tides, if you flood during those normally king tides, possible again tomorrow afternoon. Latest computer models have shifted a little further to the north. Remember yesterday there was quite a split. Some of them went north, some of them went south. Now they're almost all, for the most part, trying to move more of a northerly path, which would be good for us. We want it to go as far north as possible. Not only does that keep the heaviest rain north of the islands, it also pushes into strong wind shear and cooler waters, which would be a great thing in terms of weakening the storm. We showed you this official track, which has also shifted to the north, but again, the forecast cone is basically showing locations of potential landfall anywhere from South Point on the Big Island, or possibly no landfall and passing well north of the island. So that's what we've got right now. The good news is we're continuing to watch. We told you about the cooler waters out ahead of it. That's going to weaken, Kiko, but we're also starting to see some very strong wind shear developing near the islands, and that tends to tear these storms apart. So what we're going to look at is a storm that's going to weaken as it approaches, and then when it gets near the islands, it could rapidly weaken. So that would also be good news as well. So we're going to be watching for late Monday potential impacts on the Big Island, starting to see some rain. And then the rest of us on Tuesday. I think Tuesday is probably the day that we could see the greatest impacts from Kiko, depending on the track. Right now, dry conditions. That's not rain. That's some sort of military activity there west of Kauai. At least that's what it looks like on the radar. Into Maui County and into the Big Island. Right now, dry conditions continue into the weekend. Aloha Friday, more of the same. So we'll have those light to moderate trades, maybe not quite as strong as they have been. High pressure breaking down. Low pressure center is breaking down that high, big upper level low, and that's what's causing Kiko to lift more north and west. Again, Tuesday looks to be the day that we could have the most impacts from this tropical system, depending on the exact track. So that's what we're going to be looking for. We got a good 4 days or so to prepare for this storm. Possibly Big Island could see impacts late Monday, but Tuesday likely the greatest chance. Up until then, east winds continue at 10 to 15 miles per hour.